All right, certificates. Am I right? Am I wrong? What have I been doing? Have I been misguided? I think the answer is yes. I've got some notes here I want to go over. So I've recently come to the conclusion that I should have been doing certifications about 3 years ago. So let me explain. Recently, Azure is sort of taking Australia by storm. It's really, really taking off big time. And I went on the market recently to find a contract. And I would say that I didn't quite get, actually easily about 10 contracts put forward. Of those 10, I would say 8 were Azure based. That's quite an increase from even just last year, where it was probably about 4 or 5. Okay, so it's clear that there's a shift towards Azure here in Australia. So how does that affect me? Well, I don't have any Azure certificates, and I have maybe 2 years of relevant Azure experience. So that effectively makes me less relevant to the market. Yikes. What am I doing to solve that? Again, I've got some notes here that I'll go over, but I'm effectively getting my Azure certifications, and I'm also going to get my AWS certifications, and I'm also going to get a few other certifications as well. Let me explain. So the first point I want to make is gaps in knowledge. Okay, gaps in knowledge. So when you getting certification to fill in the gaps in your knowledge with the current tech stack that you know well, that's pretty important. So you use AWS for 3 years straight. You use it inside out. You use it a lot. That doesn't mean you use everything, and it doesn't mean you use every feature of every core service. There might be things about S3 that you don't know about. Okay, that's where certification comes in. So the first bit of advice I'm going to give is get certification to fill in the gaps in your knowledge. That's what I'm going to be doing to make sure that I'm not missing too much from an AWS perspective, and I'm actually going to be polyfilling in the gaps in that knowledge. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. The second point I've got noted down here is to polyfill in the gaps in your experience. And I think this is the key one that talks back to that story I just told at the beginning. And that means getting certificates in technologies that you're not working with. Getting certificates in technologies that you're not working with. Okay. Every day you're working with GitHub, Terraform, and AWS. Brilliant. 3 years go by, you look at the market, and now it's, let's say, for example, Pulumi, GitLab, and Azure. Okay, are you still relevant? Yes. Plenty of companies out there still using the tech stack that you're already using, and your knowledge, for the most part, will translate over fairly well, and it won't take you that long to upskill in those other tech stacks. But what would have happened if a year into your AWS stack that you were using, you decided to go and get maybe some fundamental Azure certifications, maybe take a little look at Pulumi and build a project, and maybe even, let's change it up a little bit, maybe you go out and get a basic Kubernetes certification, because 3 years go by and you look and now everyone's asking for Kubernetes knowledge. Okay, that is filling in the gaps, as I've got noted here. That is filling in the gaps in your experience, because you don't have experience in those things because you're not using them day to day. So that means that you have to go out there and you need to fill in the gaps in the experience. So that's also where certifications are pretty important, because even if you don't have experience in Kubernetes, if you go out and get certified in it, that means you have to have studied it, and that means you have to have set it up, played with it, deployed some things to it, and then got it going. And if you can have a project to show for it too, something that you blog about, or an open source product that you can showcase, when you go for your next job or when you go for your next contract, you can say, yes, look, my CV does say I don't have Kubernetes experience or I don't have Azure experience. However, I did go out and get certified in these things, and for the past year I've been building this project and blogging about it, so you can see that I do have a fairly deep fundamental understanding of what's happening. I think that that is very, very powerful, and that is what I personally am going to be doing over the next 12 months. And also, these things come together. This is the third point. These things come together to just basically keep you relevant. That's the idea here. The industry changes, new tech stacks come and go. people come and go, jobs come and go, companies come and go, the economy changes, it's very fluid. And so you've got to stay relevant. Don't stay stagnated on a few pieces of technology. Things are changing very, very rapidly. We're actually in a really young industry. IT is really, really young compared to legal, accounting, medicine, engineering, building and construction, security, physical security, cybersecurity is even younger again, I would say. Okay, so you've got to stay relevant in this field because it is extremely fluid, and it is very much like a river that is a rapid, so white rapids, really fast, but also you don't know which direction it's going in. You can't look at the river and go, oh, there's the shape of the river, I can see where it's going to go. You can't see past the end of your own nose. So not only is it really quick, but it's not only is it moving at an incredible rate, but it's just going in various different directions. So I wanted to also provide a little process for anyone coming into the industry or anyone already in the industry with regards to certification. So here's what I would do differently. I would get certificates to start, and I would get the associate level cloud certificates and any other. So I'd get the Terraform Associate certificate, I'd get the AWS Associates certificate, and I'd get the Azure Associate certification. Okay, so they're basically the first step in. In fact, what you could actually do with the cloud ones is you could get the AWS Cloud Practitioners one, and then you can get the AZ 900, which is the fundamentals, cloud fundamentals. Okay, and then you could take the next step and get the associate one. Then I would spend about 2 to 3 years just relaxing on the certification front and just focusing on your job, focusing on experience, doing the job, and finding out a little bit more about yourself. Are you enjoying the job? You're 2 years in now. How are you finding it? Are you attracted to something else? Perhaps the programmers over there have really piqued your interest, and now you're thinking, do I want to be a DevOps engineer or an SRE or work in ops? Maybe I want to be a front-end developer. Instead, I had a friend a few years ago who went from front-end development into project management. It happens. So spend the first couple of years, I'd say 2 to 3 years, just getting that experience, getting in the industry, getting seated in there, getting comfortable, and understanding a little bit more about yourself, a little bit more about the industry and what direction you want to go in. Once you get to that about 3-year mark, I would say that it's then time to look at the landscape and look to see how it's changed. Now, you can obviously, from the moment you get your first job, so from 0 through to the 3-year mark before you do this particular step, you can obviously keep looking. You can go to Hacker News, Reddit, and various social platforms, and you can see how the industry is changing, and you can see these technologies becoming more popular and growing. One good way of doing that is actually to look at job boards. Even if you're not interested in getting a job elsewhere, you just look at job boards to see what are businesses asking for. And that's a good way of looking at the landscape and sort of making sure that you're aware of what's going to be relevant in the next few years, highly relevant in the next few years. And then you evaluate your missing skills. So you look at the landscape and you evaluate, well, what am I missing? And I've been here 3 years now. Do I want to move on? And if I do, what is the economy around me? What is the market around me? What is it asking for? Am I relevant? And then you reevaluate. And then you go, okay, there's a tech over there that's now got massive. Let's say it's Kubernetes. Okay, let's rewind a little bit and say that it's Kubernetes. You might see it and go, okay, well, that's getting big now. A lot of jobs asking for that. So you might spend the next year getting Kubernetes certified, getting some experience with it, even if on your day job you don't do it. That way, then, when you decide, I'm going to go into the market now, get another job. It's been 4 years now, AWS certified, Azure certified, Kubernetes certified, and you're keeping those certificates relevant as well. Once you've got them, keep them updated, of course, because it's a much simpler, quicker, cheaper exam to keep them floated. Then you can go to the market and be like, yes, okay, I haven't been using Kubernetes every day, but it doesn't matter. I haven't been using Kubernetes every day, but that's okay. I've got certified in it. Here's a project that I've built, and all of my other experience really translates into those fundamentals that Kubernetes is built upon, basically. So that's how I feel at the moment. I'd like you to let me know in the comments below how you feel. Are you really experienced in IT, and have you kept up with your certificates? Are certificates important to you? It'd be really great to hear from you. I'm sorry it's been a while since I've posted a video. I am going to get back to doing more videos very soon. Alright, thanks for watching, and we'll speak soon.